Good morning. Welcome to Open Line. I'm Air Force Sergeant Sandra Brown in the studio today. Besides a little bit of feedback, I have an entire panel of folks here from the Commissary Agency, DeCA, as they're called. We have Michael Dowling, who's a director. Good morning.
Good morning.
Steve Armbruster, merchandising chief.
Good morning.
And we have CW4 Joseph Goldsmith, who's a food safety officer. Good morning. And also CW2 Robert McNeil, who's another food safety officer. We're going to be talking about some of the differences between the jobs that they do. And, of course, everybody knows Kay Blakely, our consumer advocate. Good morning.
Good morning, Sergeant Brown.
And how's everybody this morning?
Great.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Dowling, who's the director for DeCA in Europe. How long have you been here in Europe?
Well, I've been the director in Europe since August of this year, but previous to that, I was the chief of logistics, chief of operations, chief of product support, and the acting deputy from during a period of 1993 to August 2002.
Wow, that's quite an expanse. I bet you've probably even done some time bagging, cashiering, everything that you can name.
We've done a few things.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about DeCA in Europe, some of the things that are going on right now that maybe customers don't know about, some of the initiatives of things that you do as the director to work with the customers.
Well, first, let's just probably give some background about DeCA Europe. There's 59 stores. In the European region. We go as far north as Menwith Hill, and we go as far south as Cairo, Egypt. We have a commissary in Cairo that's there in conjunction with the American Embassy. We also do support the store in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, but that's more for product and technical assistance. It is operated by a different activity. We do about $450 million in sales every year. Our sales are at cost. We are not a profit organization. Nothing that we do is sold at profit. We are a benefit for the service member and their families, and in the European theater, the civilian employees that are authorized also get to shop with us. We sell things at cost plus 5%, and the 5% is the cost that is mandated by Congress to pay for equipment and new construction. It's not a tax in any way, shape, and form. Some of the initiatives we've been doing, we're bringing bag salads into the theater. You'll see some of the things that are going on right now. We've got it into several stores in Germany, and we just added it to every store in the UK with the exception of Menwith Hill. Mm-hmm. We'll be rolling that out through the entire theater. It's been a little bit of a logistical challenge for our supplier that's bringing the product in. He's new to the European theater, so he's run into some customs issues and things like that, but he's working it out, and we soon will have bag salad, which is a U.S. product that's flown in every week. It's been very popular with our customers.
It's popular with me, I know that.
So, and we just, we do a pretty good job, we think, of supporting our customers. We have fill rates in our stores of anywhere between 98 and 99% because we have central distribution. We have a central meat plant. It's just been a good run for us. Our sales have been up this last year as the troops return from deployment, especially in the divisional areas. We're starting to see some significant sales increases over last year. Mm-hmm. But as I said, that's not increases to profits or anything like that. It's just increase in sales.
All right. We're going to go to the phone lines. We have people who have already called in, and we're going to take a couple of calls, and then I will give out the phone number in the open line. So if you have a question about DeCA in Europe, get your pen and paper ready. We will give those numbers out in just a minute. First up on the phone, Michael from Stuttgart. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
What's your question?
My question is, first of all, I'm here at Patch Barracks, and we don't have the largest commissary in the world like Vogelway, Ramstein, or Würzburg, and I'd like to know what's the process that people go through to select the produce, the vegetables and fruit that we get in our commissary.
Okay, great. Thanks for your question, Michael. I know it's different no matter where you go. You don't get all of the produce from the same farmer, the same area, the same region. Talk a little bit about that, Mr. Dowling.
Well, we have we acquire our produce through markets or prime vendors that have been identified by the Defense Support Personnel Center in Mainz-Kastel. They have gone into contractual arrangements with a group of produce suppliers in the Germany and Italy and other areas that we are supported. In the Stuttgart area, it's an outfit called Steiger. They support the Stuttgart stores. It's right off the, he's a German supplier. He acquires product from local activities, from overseas activities. He's providing the same product to us as he's providing to commercial activities. And we bring the product in, and basically it's sold at cost.
But even within Germany, for example, you mentioned that one individual carries just for Stuttgart. So you have other people that may do in Mannheim, in Heidelberg, in Wiesbaden. You have different suppliers in different regions.
We have 8 wholesale produce suppliers that provide us throughout the theater. I know in the K-Town area where I shop mostly, we've got a company called Waskow that comes from just south of Parmesans. We've got different suppliers. There's a company called McCarthy and Sons, which is in the UK. So we have a wide variety, and we've reduced that. It used to be 17 suppliers, but as we've reduced to 8, which gives each supplier a little larger customer base, which also allows them to buy more in bulk, which gets us better prices and better service.
Now, if someone had a concern about maybe they've been to another area, not necessarily the variety of selection, but just the quality, what could they do about that if they had a concern about a quality issue?
Well, the first place they should bring it to is concern of the store. Bring it to the management of the store and say that you have concerns about the produce, or you've seen store produce at different locations that is better quality, different selection. But that's our first line of response, is at store. Another access is to give us a customer YAL. We call it a Your Action Line. It's you write it up, you send it in to us either by email or by mail. It comes to the region. We process it. I respond personally to all YALs, and we explain what's going on. And if you identify an issue that we need to look into, we do that.
See, I'm from South Carolina, and I didn't know y'all had another meaning. So.
Yeah, we have another meaning.
Chief Goldsmith, as a food safety officer, where do you come in line when it comes to produce?
As far as the produce is concerned, we have regulations that say that we can only buy U.S. grade A, or in the case of Europe, that we an equivalent. And so the quality has to be there, and our buyers make sure of that. If there's a quality issue at sale, sometimes the medical food inspectors, whether it be the Air Force Public Health or the Army Vet Corps medical food inspectors, might have to investigate to see if it was mechanical damage during transit or maybe during display. Sometimes rough handling can cause these issues. And so we have to determine that.
So that is part of your purview as well, not just the meats, as most people are familiar with, and the dates on things, produce.
No, it's a holistic, comprehensive program that looks at anything that you consume. Food safety is involved in.
Okay, we're going to get back to food safety in just a second. We're going to go to the phone line, and if anyone else has a call, you can ring us here in the studio. Our DSN number is 389-4590. If you're calling from within Germany, civilian number 0621-460-85590. And if you're dialing from outside Germany, country code 49-621-460-85590. We also have email line open here, and that is openline@afneurope.net. Going straight to the phone, Brad from Grafenwehr. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for holding. What's your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, let people out there know, just touch base about coupons. I know my wife uses coupons in the Hohenfeld commissary. Karen, she uses coupons. They're a good 6 months past expiration. And when the coupons are used in conjunction with the sales, which, rotate on a basis there, we save upwards to 40-50% on our grocery bill.
Okay. Who would like to speak on that, about coupons? Thank you for calling in, Brad.
Thank you. Good day.
I'd like to go, this is Steve Armbruster, I'd like to go with a little mixed info on that. When you're talking coupons, we always welcome coupons. Coupons are a win-win situation for the customer and for the commissary system itself. Customer gets savings at the register. The commissary gets a handling fee that comes back into goods for the commissary, better equipment, and what have you. When we talk coupons, I'd also like to just remind people of Worldwide Case Lot Sale coming up, and that's, as marketing, I have to get that plug out there. The first of 2 dates scheduled for 2005 are on 28 through 29 May. And when you're talking coupons, I'm telling you folks, we got some real good deals coming over, 105 different items, which is 30 more items than the last case lot sale. It covers a whole gamut of products. And all I can say is if you have coupons out there, bring them in with you because we're always glad to take them.
So you can use those in conjunction with the case lot.
Most definitely.
Great, great. And that is worldwide. So no matter what commissary you're at, sometime during those specific dates, you'll have the sales at your own
We have 2 or 3
commissary.
stores that will not take part because of their location, i.e., but those dates will be, or locations will be announced down the road.
Okay. Well, I want to stick with you. I have a question for you. Since you do the marketing and merchandising, do you have much influence on product selection as far as new items that are coming out?
Oh, yes, we do. I'd like to say we have as much input to product selection as our customers do, because that's basically who we go to for most of the input. We have a team of buyers at our headquarters, 8 folks, 5 that take care of what I call the semi-perishable side of the house, 2 that take care of all the perishable items, frozen and dairy, and we have an offshore buyer. Those folks keep in touch with what's available out there. We make decisions based on customer feedback, as Mr. Dowling alluded to with the Your Action Line program, or feedback that goes to store management at the local store level. The management team are more than happy to forward that input up to us at the region so we can go out and look at these products that are being requested and see the possibility of having them added to our 9,000 plus stock assortment that's available now. And it's an ever-changing program.
Right, and I know I've seen the commercials that say if you want a specific product, you know, it has to be on the major inventory. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Sure can. In the European region, we have what we call a region stock list, which has some 9,500 line items on it. Now, if you happen to be at, say, Ankara or a small store out in the trees or something, and there's an item that you've seen when you were at maybe one of our larger stores, Ramstein, Vogelway, you just have to approach your local management team there, and they can gladly special order a case of that product for you at your smaller location. As you can appreciate, a small store may carry 3,000 line items.
Right.
Some of our larger stores have 10,000, 11,000 line items. You just can't get that much product in a small space.
So they wouldn't be able to stock it continually, but they would be able to for certain customer or for any customer who wants to order just a case of that item.
And as far as regular stockage, if a store manager comes in and there is an item that he's getting numerous hits for at his location, he has the ability, or she has the ability, to have that added to the regular stock assortment. But again, that's based on how it moves as a whole in that area.
Do you find that you get requests from store managers? Perhaps someone went back to the States on leave or whatever, and they came back and they're like, wow, they have this new super duper cleaner out there that'll, you know, do everything for you but wash the dishes themselves. So
I'd be telling you a lie if I said I didn't get requests from store management. As you can appreciate, there are thousands of items that come on the market every year. And we sit here in Europe and we try to keep at the forefront of it. You know, we're all away from home. We all love to have that taste of home. So we keep up with what's going on back in the rest of the world, I guess. And what we try to do is our buyers constantly do category reviews. They're looking at the commodities they handle. And as these new items come on, we get with the vendors, our great partners from industry that are over here, and we look at how items are doing back in the States. Again, you don't want to invest a lot bringing products over that aren't proven.
Right.
But if they're doing well in the States, if shelf life allows it, a lot of times people want items that, because the shelf life is short, we can't get it over here in time and to the stores. And if there's any export packs or anything necessary, if we can meet those different criteria, we're more than glad to get it over here and on the shelves.
And I would say, as a consumer who's been over here in Europe for 14 years, and everything from Irakli on Crete that had a commissary that, you know, you could yell from one side to the other and they would hear you, to the bigger ones at Ramstein, I've not really felt like I was missing out. I think I remember when I was stationed in Turkey, one of the biggest days for us was when we got actual real milk in the commissary, and people were running up and down the aisles doing the, hey, we got real milk dance. You know, it was quite fun for us. But, you know, it's like I say, there's many new products out there, a lot of things that maybe people don't even realize until they go back to the States, and it's possible that they can get those over here. Speaking of customers, Kay Blakely is here with us, a consumer advocate. do they still have, I was part of a focus group a couple of years ago. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We still do have focus groups. Yes, we do. They're always run at the local store, at the local level. At one time, we were having them a little bit more often than we are at the moment, but that doesn't mean we can't have them.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is, so if nobody's been a part of one before?
It is basically just a gathering of a group of people in your community. You gather around a table and you kind of go through the store step by step, every single aisle, every single food category. The store managers, the store directors ask you your opinions of how well are we doing in fresh produce, how well are we doing in fresh meat, how well are we doing in our stock assortment. And we gather all that information back from the people who are sitting around the table, and we take it to Steve, our merchandising person, or we take, if there's a problem, we go right to the source, the place where it can be fixed. And it's a real good way to get feedback. If we think we're doing a great job, but our customers don't share that same thought, then we haven't done our job. So it's very important for us to know from our customers' point of view how we're doing.
And I just happened to be asked to be on one just as a random thing in the commissary one day. Someone, just said, hey, we're having a focus group. Would you be interested?
That's great.
Customers were coming through. And it was a great experience because it let you feel like you were really being a part of what was going on.
Right.
I had a little problem with the celery, so I discussed it, and soon after that, they changed the vendor, and we started getting a different kind of celery.
That's
so
wonderful.
Change does happen.
Well, really, I am extremely impressed with how responsive DeCA is to every customer request or question. And you bring up the celery. Celery is used a little bit differently in Europe than it is in the United States, and it usually people can either say, "I love the celery you have." Sometimes we fly it in from the States, especially in the holiday season, because that's what people are used to. You gotta have cheese stuffed celery on your relish tray during a holiday meal. It's expensive, but at least it's what we want. Other times we deal with whatever celery we can get on the local market in Europe, and it's different than the American because the Europeans use the celery root rather than the stalks. Anyway, when we know that from our customers' point of view, we're able to take whatever action we need to take to make it right. I'm going to give these phone numbers out again. If you have a call for any one of our panel, it's DSN 389-4590, civilian 0621 46085-590. Outside Germany, country code 49 and the number 621-46085-590. And if you'd like to send us an email, and we've got one that we'll be answering here in just a couple of minutes, that email line is openline@afneurope.net. Chief McNeil, as a food safety officer, I know you deal quite a bit with inspecting. Tell us a little bit as a food safety officer, just in general, what one would do, and then we'll get a little bit more into specifics about the commissaries here.
Well, specifically at the Central Meat Processing Plant, where I spend a lot of my time, the product is inspected upon receipt to ensure wholesomeness, the proper temperature of the product upon receipt, and things of that nature. That the product quality is conducive to what the contract requirements are. So we make sure that we're getting what we pay for, which in turn is going to ensure that the customer is getting a good quality product.
Now, I know one of the big initiatives that's happened over the past few years with the meat in particular was the vacuum packing. I guess the customers have pretty much gotten used to it. It was a strange bird when it first came out. Do they do that in the States? Because I haven't been over in such a long time. I don't know. Is that something specifically over here for us, or?
That's something that is done in the States, but here in Europe we're special because we have a one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art central meat processing plant located at Ramstein. And the pork and beef that's processed there is vacuum packed, which is giving the customer a better product because the packaging itself is more conducive to storage. It eliminates a lot of freezer burn, and it retains a lot of the moisture. The customers mostly have a concern with the color, of course.
Right.
And vacuum packaging is just the reduced level of oxygen in the package, which is going to take that normal bright cherry red color away from the meat.
Right.
But once the package is opened and the product is oxygenated, then that bright color will come back. And then, of course, the smell is an issue, too, which is normal. It's caused from lactic acid bacteria, which is also a natural meat tenderizer. So the first appearance and the look and the odor, if without understanding that it's really a benefit, it can throw you off. But once they understand they're getting a better product, then it's a good thing.
And usually after you wash it, all of that goes away, right?
That's true.
So if you rinse it and it's still not smelling good, you probably waited too long, right?
Well, it depends. It depends. Customer handling is very important. As soon as they buy the product, they should immediately take it home, put it in the refrigerator, or freeze it, and that will eliminate a lot of those.
Does that vacuum packing work better in the freezer than the old styrofoam and with the plastic over it?
Definitely, because it eliminates the freezer burn that they would normally get from the old traditional tray pack.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that meat packing plant that's in Ramstein. Is that for all of Europe? All the meat is processed there?
That is correct. All the vacuum packaged meat, the beef and the pork. The beef comes from IBP/Tyson in the States, and the pork is from a company here in Germany, and it's vacuum packaged there. There are other items in the commissary that come from other companies that we have products shipped over from, but the meat plant does vacuum package the beef and pork that goes to all of our stores.
And does that meet the same as it would in the States, USDA grade and that type of thing?
Exactly. We offer a USDA choice. The product is inspected by USDA inspectors at origin, but destination inspections are performed by myself when the product arrives for wholesomeness, again, quality characteristics, and ensure we're getting what we're paying for.
We've got a rather lengthy email. I'm going to ask if our folks would print that out so we can have that in the studio, because I don't want to read the whole thing. And then I would like to talk a little bit more about the meat. You mentioned the ones that are packaged here, but what about those that are flown in? Maybe, I've seen lamb from Australia or New Zealand, those other kinds of things. Do those have to fall under the same safety guidelines?
That is correct. Even though they're produced in a European plant, the 100th Medical Detachment is responsible for food safety and quality throughout this theater. And any plant that the military procures product from that offers potentially hazardous foods, they audit those facilities. And they have to be in compliance with the military regulation as far as food safety, sanitation, food security, and everything. And then they have to be listed in the directory to ensure that they have been audited and they have met the requirements before we're allowed to have it in our stores. And
we're going to wrap things up here on the meat department line. What about the seafood? I know some commissaries now have fresh seafood in them. Does that go through you as well as a food safety officer?
That's something that we look at, but again, the product that we procure, it has been inspected or audited by someone from the 100th Medical Detachment.
Okay. Yes. Wow, we've had quite a few emails that are coming in. We've got one here I'm just going to read because it's not quite as long as the other one. Why is it that some commissaries are not open 7 days per week?
Well,
and Mr. Dowling is going to answer that one, the director of DeCA Europe.
How long we're open, what days of the week we're open in any particular commissary there are criteria that we have based on size of community, based on sales for that location, and based on the labor costs that it costs to operate these facilities. We're an appropriated fund activity. We have a certain appropriation or budget in a given year, and after we apprise each of our locations and determine what is the proper number of hours based on the sales, based on the size of the community, then that's the number of days that it's open. A large store like Ramstein is going to be open 7 days a week because of the volume. In December, they did $4 million in sales, and that's, if you look at that, that's with no markup. And if it was similar to a store in the States where we have a 30% savings over a commercial store in the States, we're talking about a $6 million a month store. In smaller locations where we do sales of anywhere between $100,000 a month or $200,000 or $250,000, it isn't justified to have the hours any longer than what we have. It's what we can afford. It's what our budget allows. Sure, I mean, the ideal situation would we have 7 days a week for every location, but it just is not possible.
Now, you mentioned stateside and the markup there of 30%. There's been a lot of talk recently about commissaries going away in the states. Can you give any insight on that?
Well, I think at this point in time, I would picture that as talk. There are a lot of, as we all know right now, is a difficult time for the Department of Defense when it comes to money and trying to meet all its requirements. So every year there seems to be discussion about reduction of commissaries and somehow replacing the benefit. But when you look at the commissary operation, which is $1 billion a year, and studies that have shown that it would cost over $2 billion to give the same amount of benefit to all the authorized customers, it would not really be very cost effective at this point. We're a benefit, as I say, and we provide it to all the retirees, active duty, now National Guard and reservists in many locations. Is a very, very valuable benefit for the service member. Okay.
We're going to take a quick break, but before that, I'm going to give these numbers out again so you can get your pen and paper ready. DSN number is 389-4590. Civilian number 0621-460-85590. And outside Germany is country code 49. The number is 621-460-85590. or you can email us at openline@afneurope.net. We're talking DECA, we're talking commissaries this morning on Open Line. I'm Air Force Sergeant Sandra Brown. We'll be back with more in just a few minutes.
The R&R Soldier and Civilian Information Guide. Get it, read it, and keep it. In addition to specific instructions that will directly apply to soldiers and civilians on R&R, the guide contains blocks that will be filled in with return flight information. If you want information right away, you can find it online by going to the U.S. Army Europe website and clicking on the R&R support link. If you know you'll be enjoying some hard-earned R&R, you'll be provided one. The R&R Soldier and Civilian Information Guide. Get it, read it, keep it.
Stand by for a message from the Regional Director of Headquarters, IMA Europe, Russell Hall.
Self-Help offers you the supplies and expertise you need to make minor repairs and improvements in your housing. Whether you live in barracks or family quarters, you don't need to wait on smaller projects. Painting a bedroom, fixing a leaky faucet, or doing a little landscaping can pay dividends for your family and neighbors now. It's as simple as a trip to the Self-Help. Check it out and see what a difference you can make where you live.
Hey everybody, I'm Bob. Good to meet you. You know my friend Bob, he's got expert skills at making a cup of cocoa. But just because he can make a super fine chocolate beverage doesn't mean he's qualified to give me advice on the hairy situations in life. So instead of asking Bob what I should do about my military career choices, I go to MilitaryOneSource.com. I just type in military for the username and OneSource for the password. They can't really make a good cup of cocoa, but Military OneSource does have all the good answers.
U.S. Army Europe is hosting a Deployment as a Family Affair Lessons Learned conference in May. And if your life has been touched by deployment, you can help us. USAR Chief of Personnel, Brigadier General Rusty Frudiger.
USAR senior leaders want to know how we can improve programs related to family readiness and deployments. We need your input. Click on the FRG feedback link on the USAR homepage and tell us what you think.
That's the FRG feedback link at www.hqusar.army.mil.
Welcome back to Open Line. I'm Air Force Sergeant Sandra Brown. Joining me today, I have a panel of experts from Defense Commissary Agency. We have Michael Dowling, who's the DECA Europe Director, Steve Armbruster, Merchandising Manager, CW4 Joseph Goldsmith, and CW2 Robert McNeil, who are Food Safety Officers, and Kay Blakely, our Consumer Advocate. Good morning once again to everyone. We're going to go back to one of the emails that came in. from a retiree, and this question will be directed to Michael Dowling, who's the DeCA Europe Director. He wanted to know, I flipped over to the wrong one. There it is. He wanted to know about retirees and the benefits. He was told that if you retire in an overseas area, you will not be able to use the commissary because it's not allowed. And so can you answer that question?
Sure. In this particular one, the gentleman is referring to Germany. First point to me is, no, you will be authorized to use commissary and exchange privileges, but it's not as simple as what you're doing today. You're going to have to get certain documentation through the local German customs authorities, and you're going to have to reimburse the host country for basically the value-added tax that they will not receive if you're not shopping on the outside. Every country that we're in has a different status of forces agreement with the United States, and that has a direct relationship to the rights and privileges that a retiree will be able to exercise if they reside in Europe. They need to be in place over 30 days, and then they need to react to the specific host nation requirements.
Okay, so they need to check first to find out what that individual country requirement is.
Right.
It will be different no matter where you retire.
Every different. In Germany, you have to get a pink card and then present that when you buy your goods, and then you have to keep track of what you pay back to the host country. In England, they're now in the process of trying to change to a different setup, so that they currently buy chits at their AFS establishment, which allows them to buy goods up to a certain value based on the number of chits they have. They would like to change that and make that a more simplified process. So it really differs, as I said, from different country to different country.
Okay, we've got a question here. This was the lengthy one, and they're talking about the Gießen commissary, and evidently the problem is that some of the more common items, for example, butter, orange juice, and the bagged lettuce, seem to be not in stock whenever they go. So it's a smaller commissary that they're dealing with, the Gießen commissary and the Bad Neuheim commissary, so they're having to drive a little further away to Hanau or Rhein-Main to the larger commissaries to find those items. Is it certain days that certain stock come in? Is it better to shop on a certain day in the commissaries in the European region?
Depending on where the commissary is, every commissary has a different delivery schedule from our distribution centers. We have 2 distribution centers in Europe, in Germany. The first is our dry storage at Germersheim, and then we have our cold store at Kaiserslautern. Some stores, based on size, get daily deliveries. Some stores, because they're distance away, they get less frequent. Yes, there is a possibility of product running out, but what the customer has stated in her email basically says that whenever they go, they're out of that product. That's something that should be addressed immediately to the management. Apparently, we're not ordering enough product. We're not keeping adequate supplies in place to meet the demand of the community. That's something that shouldn't happen. We should be able to have enough product on hand to support the customers, especially the basic items that she mentioned here, butter and orange juice. Bagged lettuce, I don't think right now is being delivered to the Gießen commissary yet, but that will be coming in the near future. Hanau certainly is a larger, more central mall-type commissary. It's sitting there with the exchange. They're going to have a wider selection. They're going to have more product on hand, and I would suspect they'll find different things there than they won't find in Gießen.
Okay. We have a comment from a caller called in earlier that said they've been a long-time buyer of lean frozen meat, such as lean cuisine, and they were asking for the commissary to stock and add more variety, and it seemed like it was always the same products. But recently the caller noticed that Wiesbaden commissary, they've had 10 more meals that have been added, and so it was kind of a kudos and thank you for offering more variety. Steve Armbruster, who's the merchandising chief, dietary things are changing drastically. The food pyramid is changing. People are on some different kind of diets. The Atkins, South Beach, gone away with the carbohydrates. I'm one of those myself, and I've noticed recently a lot more items that I'm able to eat because of different dietary restrictions. How difficult is it to keep up with stuff like that?
Well, I'll tell you, to be honest, it's very difficult. when you're in the business of ordering groceries to meet customer demands, and I'll be honest, I don't even know what I'm having for dinner tonight, so try to figure out what a customer wants 45 days down the road is almost difficult, very difficult sometimes. But I can tell you, we've gone through a pretty turbulent year when you're talking diets and that. We had the big kickoff last year, the beginning part with the resurge of the Atkins, and we responded to that. We brought a lot of new items over, and people enjoyed them for several months, but since then we've had to cut back on several of the items, not because necessarily we want to cut back. The company themselves have noticed a great decrease in the Atkins-type products, and we're tending to go more towards... I don't like to endorse any item. We're there just to put the product that the customers want on the shelf.
Right.
But to the South Beach and different types of diets. At the same time, other things like organics and gluten-free and other low-carb items. We're constantly looking at those because we're becoming more and more specialist as time goes on. You know, there's the old saying, you can't be everything to everybody, but I sit here with my hand on my heart and I say the team of buyers back at our headquarters do the best they can to be the best for the most folks. And that's what I think is important because, you know, we sit around the table here, everybody has their own specific and individual wants and needs. And what we try to do is balance that each day to make sure that the product on the shelf meets the needs of most people. You know, there's always going to be something you'd like to have and you can't find, but...
Kay, as a consumer advocate, are you really in the commissaries a lot more than probably some of the managers are, you know, as far as in with the customers and things like that?
Well, yes. I talk to customers every single day, and especially every time I'm in the commissary. I can't get in and out of there quickly because
you can't go do your own shopping, right?
However, everybody around the table is in the commissary a lot, and I think that's a very good thing for DECA that we are able to shop the commissaries ourselves. When we are there and we see firsthand how things are going, then that gives us a better indication of what things need to be done. What kind of feedback do you get from customers, just impromptu? Well, when Steve was talking about the special diet requests that individuals have, I happened to be part of a vegetarian cooking session yesterday afternoon, and it was not a huge group, maybe 10 or 12 people. They, of course, have a list, you know, a couple of pages long of vegetarian-type items that they would like to see us carry. And I think most of those people, even though they have a very specialized diet that they prescribe for themselves, we still carry an awful lot of products that they can use. Things that are already pre-made, pre-packaged, that are vegetarian. Sometimes they might think we're a little bit short on. However, Steve's people, the merchandising people, definitely take a look at all those categories. And like he said, we do try to make sure we have the things that the majority of people want. And people need to understand, too, that even when we do bring in one particular specialty product, if it doesn't sell well enough, if enough people don't buy it or don't vote for it by their choices that they make, it's not going to be able to stay on the shelf because we just don't have room. Right. So when you look at it that way, it's a little bit more understandable.
Now, as a matter of fact, when I was talking about that focus group that I was in, we had someone there who was vegetarian. So she did her commissary shopping every single day because she wanted the fresh produce. So, you know, she pretty much knew everybody in the commissary too. But she enjoyed that experience. That was part of her daily activity, was to stop by the commissary. Now, we talked a little bit too with, you know, produce and fresh and healthy and organic. And I know that the commissaries.com website is linked to some healthy tips and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. This is probably a good time to tell you about our very latest initiative. DECA is partnering with TRICARE. TRICARE has a DoD-wide initiative called Healthy Choices for Life. They're focusing on 3 areas primarily. One is tobacco cessation, more responsible use of alcohol if you use alcohol. And the third prong of that campaign focuses on obesity and weight management among active duty members and their family members, everybody in the military community. DECA has stepped up to the plate to say to the whole DoD community, we are the primary providers of food for consumption at home, on base, and we would love to be able to do our part to help people gain a real good, decent understanding of exactly what is a healthy diet. We're basing all of this information on the newly released 2005 Dietary Guidelines for Americans. And
that's the new food pyramid.
That's right. Well, it's the pyramid plus the whole rest of the ball of wax. The pyramid actually itself is being revised at the moment to reflect the latest Dietary Guidelines for Americans. It may end up staying a pyramid. It may end up being a different shape entirely. Don't know that yet. But
the food rhombus, I don't know. It just doesn't sound the same.
The food guide pyramid, I think most of us are very familiar with, and it is a good snapshot of how you should build your diet, but people have misunderstood several things along the way, like 6 to 11 servings of grain products a day.
Right.
If you thought of that as a whole plate of spaghetti and you tried to cram 11 plates of spaghetti into your diet every day, that's not at all what that means.
Right. Doesn't mean 6 Big Macs.
That's right.
6 servings of bread, right?
Portion size is extremely important. Being able to read labels and understand the labels is very important. Being able to recognize certain foods that are being that the dietary guidelines encourage, such as whole grains, is very important. Low-fat, non-fat type products, that, say in the dairy category,
and you've just seen so many of those over the past few years that you never saw before.
Well, that's right, and it can get a little confusing on exactly what kind of products meet the low-fat category or the non-fat category. One area that's very, very difficult for people to make decisions in is what actually qualifies as a lean cut of meat. And those are exactly the kinds of things that DeCA intends to bring to our customers, where we have a joint services task force of registered dietitians that have all they've divided up each and every category of food that we carry in the commissary to come up with little shelf talkers that will be quick and easy reminders of things like exactly how do you identify a whole grain product when you're choosing breads or cereals. How do you know what's a lean cut of meat? These will be things that are right there with the product when you're making your selections, and we hope that people can make a little bit better choices by having the information there.
When can we expect to see some of those?
We just unveiled this initiative this month during March, which is National Nutrition Month.
Right.
It's going to be a long-term project. People probably will not see these shelf talkers in place until at least May, maybe June.
Okay.
But I'll be sure to let everybody know when they're there.
Right.
And what they say and how to use them. We, along with the shelf talkers, we also intend to cooperate with registered dietitians at the installation healthcare facilities or wellness centers and have them conduct healthy choice tours of the commissary.
Oh, great.
We want to have healthy food fairs and product samplings on a regular, ongoing basis. So if you've never tried, I don't know, even a piece of produce that is healthy for you, maybe you can have a taste of it without shelling out the money it takes to buy a whole package of it before you make your decision. Also, there is a real fun part of this initiative, and it's going to come about, I'm sure, with some of our commissary awareness activities that we do in May. And that is something that goes along with commissary calisthenics of some kind. One recommendation of the dietary guidelines is to be sure to find the right balance between the number of calories you consume and the physical activity that you expend every day.
Right.
The recommendation is that you need at least 30 minutes of physical activity each and every day. And we're thinking along the lines of wearing a pedometer and walking every single aisle in the store and letting folks know how many miles is that or how many steps is that just to push a cart full of groceries up and down every single aisle.
Because every little bit helps.
That's absolutely
taking the stairs instead of the elevator and
That's
all
right.
those kind of things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
great.
So it's some very exciting things, I think, that are coming about very, very soon. We absolutely want people to know that we're certainly not telling them what they should or shouldn't buy. That's absolutely totally up to the customer. But what we do want to do is provide them with some good, solid information so they can develop a depth of understanding of the dietary guidelines, and they can make healthy choices of their own if they choose to.
Okay, great. We've been talking DECA today, and we've talked a lot about customers and things that are in place to help customers have a good shopping experience. And I want to get back and talk a little bit about the people who work at the commissaries. And Mike Dowling, who's a Europe director, tell me a little bit about the hiring that goes into, because we have local nationals that work and we have family members that work. Tell me a little bit about the hiring that goes on.
Well, we currently have a workforce in the European region of 2,600 employees, of which we didn't do it this way, but it's worked out that we're about 50-50 with U.S. hires, family members, spouses, and then we have 1,300 local national employees spread throughout the region. We're always looking for new personnel. We've always got turnover. As I said, many of our employees are family members. They rotate with their military member, and so we're always looking for new folks. And one of the things that we've not done a very good job about in the last couple of years, and that's actively seeking out student hires. Students have proven to be very successful in the DECA organization in the United States and in the commissaries there. They're great employees on the most part. They're flexible. They're capable of doing many things, and we in the European theater have not done a very good job of targeting the students. We've not necessarily put out the right information about the availability of student hires in the stores, and we're going to put a new emphasis on that. And when we can hire folks, ages 16 to 23 under a student program. We can pay a competitive wage in the range of $7.67 to $8.63 an hour based on their experience and based on the job that we're hiring for. We've got many folks that work for us currently in the European theater that were military members and lived in Europe when they were kids and worked in commissaries and worked as baggers and have come back and determined that working in the commissary is a pretty good career. And so we put a lot of work. We try to identify folks and see if they're interested. We hire them early as students, show them what being in the grocery industry is all about. I've had several of my previous bosses say that the grocery industry is the most exciting industry in the world. You never know what you're going to do on a given day, and it's always something different. And a lot of people like to take that challenge. They like to come in and have a little excitement every day about what's going on and a little different. They're not in the same run-of-the-mill job. So, many folks, we like to bring them in, try to encourage them, have them see what's going on, and they can transport this job. I mean, there's commissaries on most installations worldwide. If you get hired in Europe and you work in a commissary and you like it, if your folks or you get transferred to another location, there's always an opportunity there to be picked up in the commissary and pick up in your career and move on down the road. Folks that like to would be interested in getting into management, there's programs for that. There's an intern program that allows that to happen. It's competitive and folks apply for it, and we have many folks that start that way. It's just that we think we have a great career to offer. We've got it certainly is one that people can travel the world if they want to. They're not stuck in any one given place. They can see a lot of different areas. We have folks that work in Korea. They transfer directly to Europe when they decide to move on. We think we're competitive in what we can pay. It's an exciting job. We have other jobs that are outside the commissaries. We also hire in our distribution centers. We look for material handlers that can run forklifts at both our CDCs in Germersheim and Kaiserslautern and in the UK at Lakenheath, and we also have deli bakeries that we hired food service employees that work there. And right now we're hiring temporaries for those jobs. So we have many opportunities, and we certainly encourage students, we encourage family members, U.S. citizens that can apply for these jobs. There's a couple ways they can get that information. They can go to a website, www.charma at .hquusurer.army.mil, or if you're looking to apply directly for a job, you can go to www.usajobs.opm.com. There's ways. Talk to your local CPAC or personnel office, see if there's any opportunities in the local area. We think it's a great opportunity for folks. We think it's a fun job, or we wouldn't be doing it all the years that we have.
Now, if they're on an Air Force installation, would they go to the local hiring facility there as well, or does it have to all go through USER?
Well, right now we're serviced by Army CPACs.
Okay.
In the European theater. That's why it would be best to go to the CHARMA website to get any information that you need to apply. That's not the same for local nationals. They're serviced by the Air Force, but if you're U.S., that needed to go through the Army system. Okay, and you mentioned students looking for student hires, and I know you also have a big benefit for students in some of the scholarships that are available. We every year we run there's a scholarship program that we are in conjunction with the Fisher House Foundation. If folks don't know what the Fisher House is, if you go to Landstuhl, there's two Fisher Houses there. They offer billeting for families of injured servicemen or folks that are in the hospital. It's at a very low cost. In some opportunities, it's at no cost. But we work with them in the scholarship program we offer. It's a DeCA-wide program. We've had, this year, we had 6,341 applicants that came in. Every commissary will take applicants, and every commissary will award a scholarship of at least $1,500 for the award winner to go to use for their education. It's proven to be a very popular program. And I need to make clear that the DeCA doesn't fund this program. It is no appropriated money that's in this program. All the money that's used to award the scholarships comes from the manufacturers and the other activities that support the commissaries. They contribute to the program, and they have contributed enough so that we can offer a $1,500 scholarship, at least one at every commissary, and there's 279 commissaries worldwide. Wow! So we have good support from our industry backers. They really appreciate the military business. They appreciate the military family. They know all the sacrifices that are made. And they certainly have stood up to the plate in the scholarship program and in other activities as we go through the year. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. Got about 2 minutes left. Go around the table real quickly. We'll start with Kay Blakely. Tell me anything that you want to tell me that we did not talk about today about the commissary.
Oh, gee whiz. I had all kinds of thoughts as we were talking before, and now I can't think of a single thing.
Well, you've got the big programs coming up in May.
Yes, absolutely right. And the Healthy Choices for Life, or DeCA's name of our initiative is It's Your Choice, Make It Healthy. You're going to be hearing an awful lot about that as the months roll by. I just think commissaries are a wonderful thing. I guess that's about the main thing I can put into the conversation this morning.
Okay. And CW2 Robert McNeil, who's a food safety officer.
Yes, ma'am. My last remarks is the vacuum package product from the commissary is the best product you can probably imagine getting. But it's important that customers do their part after they purchase it to keep it safe. Keep things clean and sanitary at home. Make sure they wash their hands. Wash their hands very thoroughly. Cook product to the proper temperature and refrigerate it. And if they purchase the product and prepare it properly at home, shouldn't have any problems.
Okay. CW4 Joseph Goldsmith, also a food safety officer.
Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the Air Force Public Health Food Inspectors and the Army Veterinary Corps Medical Food Inspectors for the tremendous support that they give our stores on a day-to-day basis. And they're really out there doing the job at the stores, and we have oversight, but we couldn't do without them, so I want to thank them very much.
Okay, great. Steve Armbruster, Merchandising Chief for DeCA.
Okay, just one note is I got to get the word out on Dollar Days.
Okay.
The end of this month, March 31st, kicks off the first ever DeCA Dollar Days. We teamed up with industry again, and we've set up a program where you walk in the store, there'll be items signed as 2 for $1, 3 for $2, 4 for $3. We're all talking dollars here. But it's going to be a good program. You just need to look for the extra savings signs when you're in the store.
And when is that going to happen again?
That'll start on the the 31st of March and run through the 13th of April.
Oh, okay. So a couple of weeks worth of dollar days. Great savings. And then finally wrapping things up with Michael Dowling, the DeCA Europe Director.
Well, we just appreciate the opportunity to have a chance to talk to our customers. As I stated earlier, we are a benefit, and we are a benefit for the service members and their families. And the feedback that we receive is very valuable to us, and we appreciate it. And please, if there's things that you want to see changed, if there's things that you have questions about, please get to your management, raise it to them, use the action line, use any format you can to stay in touch with us, because we can only get better. With the information we get from you.
Great. And also that website, www.commissaries.com. That's a big one, too. I'm Air Force Sergeant Sandra Brown, thanking all of my guests for joining me today. You've been listening to Open Line right here on the Power Network. Have a great Wednesday.
AP Network News, I'm Camille Bohannon. This is a big day in Iraq. The new democracy's first freely elected National Assembly in 50 years is underway. It opened after a series of explosions went off near the spot where members were meeting. There's no word anyone was hit. Or hurt. The political situation is a complicated one. A Shiite alliance won 140 seats in the National Assembly, but it needs the Kurds 75 seats to put together the two-thirds majority required to elect a president. It is the president who will then nominate the prime minister. Members of OPEC, the oil cartel, meet in Iran today as nations express worry about the fact that crude oil prices are set at about $55 a barrel. White House spokesman Scott McClellan says the oil-producing countries know how the U.S. feels about the negative effects of high oil prices.
We do stay in regular contact with OPEC and non-OPEC producers about the importance of acting in ways that support our growing global economy and our growing U.S. economy.
Yesterday, Saudi Arabia said it might boost supplies unilaterally if other OPEC members balk at doing so. Scott Peterson is scheduled to be sentenced today in the killing of his wife Lacey and their unborn child. The California jury that convicted him recommended the death penalty, but the judge could reduce the sentence to life without parole. Earlier this week, Peterson's lawyers argued that newly discovered evidence, allegedly withheld by prosecutors, could have resulted in a different verdict. Bernard Eber's lawyer, Reed Weingarten, says he's sure the jury in his client's fraud case worked hard, but he's going to appeal the jury verdict in the WorldCom case.
I'm sure it was a diligent group of people who did their best, and they wrestled with very difficult, complex evidence. Unfortunately, they came out the wrong way.
The 63-year-old Ebers faces a sentence of up to 85 years in prison. The New York jury found him guilty of organizing the largest corporate fraud in U.S. history. This is AP Network News. Sheriff's deputies in Homosassa, Florida say they want a man who's out of state at the moment to come in for questioning in the case of a missing 9-year-old Jessica Lunsford.
He was a member of either Jessie's family, social circle, school, or church, somewhere related in that. So it does not sound like a stranger.
Correspondent Mike Branham also reports a polygraph taken by the girl's grandmother raised 2 red flags, but officials are not elaborating. Jessica has been missing since February 23rd when the grandmother tucked her into bed, and then she was not there the next morning. United Nations officials say punishing soldiers for sex abuse on missions abroad may be easier than punishing civilians who work for the world body. Under current rules, soldiers accused of wrongdoing are sent home and punishment is left to their own government. Civilians can face UN disciplinary action or be sent home. The UN has 60,000 peacekeeping troops on 16 missions. It has 10,000 civilians or civilian police who fall outside military rules. In the Michael Jackson child molestation trial today, the defense is expected to focus on cross-examination of a sheriff's sergeant. The plan is to let the jury hear about the changing stories he told investigators. Parts of northern New Mexico will be digging out of snowdrifts again today.
Certainly the East Mountain areas east of Albuquerque received a significant amount of snow, as well as the higher elevations north of Albuquerque towards Santa Fe, continuing up to Las Vegas.
State Police Lieutenant Jimmy Glasscock is referring to a New Mexico college and railroad town called Las Vegas, which got more than 2 feet of snow yesterday. President Bush continues to lobby for a Social Security fix.
The American people want solutions and not empty partisan bickering. The American people expect people to come to the table.
Bush was speaking to the National Republican Congressional Committee in Washington. Those anthrax scares in the Washington, D.C. area appear to have been false alarms. Authorities think real anthrax used for comparison testing got mixed up with samples being tested. 3 area Mayo facilities were closed and hundreds of people were offered antibiotics just in case. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old New York City boy has won a national science competition by creating a sensor that detects exposure to toxic agents. David Bauer, a senior at Hunter College High School, earns a $100,000 college scholarship from the year 2005 Intel Science Talent Search. How often does this happen? Relief organizations saying they've got enough money for the use of survivors of the December Indian Ocean tsunami. But correspondent David Pay says the money does not cover rebuilding costs.
The actual cost of reconstruction in these countries is going to run, upwards of $11-12 billion. The money that's been contributed for emergency relief and even that pledged by foreign governments is only approaching about $6 or $7 billion. So there's a huge gap.
Camille Bohannon, AP Network News.
In 1966, Marine Staff Sergeant Jimmy Howard and his platoon established an observation post atop a hill in Vietnam. For 2 days, the platoon directed strikes on the enemy in the valleys below. Then one night, the North Vietnamese discovered their position and attacked. The Marines held their ground, but the casualties they took were enormous. Every Marine was either wounded or dead. Injured in the leg, Howard crawled from foxhole to foxhole, aiding the wounded and repositioning his men. Running out of ammunition and desperate, Howard had his men throw rocks at the enemy. The NVA thought the rocks were grenades, and when they looked up to see why they didn't explode, the Marines used a single bullet to take them out one at a time. When help finally arrived, Howard and the 11 survivors had only 8 bullets and a few rocks left. The platoon became one of the most decorated in history. For his leadership, Howard received the Medal of Honor. Marine Staff Sergeant Jimmy Howard, an American hero.
Con fans, coast to coast, border to border, you've locked on to Sports Overnight America with Matt Johnson.
Center, a Pacific weather update.
Hello, I'm Air Force weather forecaster William Robinson with your Pacific weather update. Looking at the surface animation, the frontal boundary in the northern portion of the map will continue its trek eastward as another system out of China moves toward Korea, bringing in precipitation for the middle and the end of the work week. Looking at the wide view, clear to mostly cloudy skies will spread across the map tonight with showers lingering in Osan. Thursday, look for those showers to continue for Osan. Vladivostok, Tokyo, and Okinawa will also see precipitation through the day. Looking in on Japan, unsettled weather will be seen in the southern portion of the map this evening. Tomorrow, widespread showers will be the case. Iwakuni will be the only dry spot. They will have mostly cloudy skies and a high of 54. Shifting west, most of the map will see rain showers along with low temperatures in the low to upper 30s. Tomorrow, the entire peninsula will be inundated with precipitation. Highs will be slightly cooler, with Daegu and Busan being the warm spots with highs of 50 degrees. Looking south, a weak storm system will move past the southern Philippines, but don't expect much precipitation or winds as the system continues to lose strength. Look for highs on Thursday to land in the mid-60s to mid-90s. Looking further south, both Singapore and Jakarta will have a dry, mostly cloudy evening with lows in the 70s. Tomorrow, both locations will get in on the rainy action. Expect highs in the 90s. Over to our island sites, most of the map will receive varying amounts of rain tonight. Lows will sit in the 70s. Wednesday, showers will only remain in Guam. Look for a high of 86. Finally, down in Australia, Darwin will finally see an end of the stormy weather. They are expecting mostly cloudy skies. But on Thursday, the unstable weather will return. Our other sites will receive beautiful...